What do you do when a company you gave your life to decides you're suddenly too expensive? 18 years. That's how long I'd been there. I wasn't just an employee. I was the guy people came to when things broke, when fires needed putting out, when the CEO didn't want something showing up on a report. No complaints. No drama. Just results. So when my boss pulled me into that glass office, looked me in the eye and said, "David, we're restructuring. Today's your last day," I didn't argue. I shook his hand. I told the team I'd miss them. I walked out the front door with my little cardboard box and my pride intact. No screaming. No drama. Just silence. But inside, I knew they'd just pulled the wrong card from the deck. Because what they didn't know, what they never bothered to understand, was that everything they thought was working smoothly only worked because I was there holding it all together. 3 days later, I started getting the calls. The first came in just before midnight. And that was only the beginning. Ever been so good at your job that nobody noticed you were the reason everything was working? That was me. I wasn't the loudest voice in the room. I didn't CC everyone just to prove I was doing something. I didn't need applause. I just got it done. People brought me their messes. Project delays, angry vendors, broken workflows, underperforming teams. I cleaned them up quietly, methodically, every single time. No headlines. Just stability. The CEO once told me, "You're the calm under the storm." I took that as a compliment. But that calm, it made me invisible. While others pitched ideas and played politics, I was the guy fixing their aftermath. Claire, the new consultant, didn't understand that. She didn't want to. She walked in like a heat-seeking missile, all slide decks and buzzwords. "David's role is operationally redundant," she said in one meeting. "3 smart interns and some AI tools can replace this." No one pushed back. Not even the CEO. I sat there stunned. 18 years of blood and grit, and I was now a spreadsheet line item. But here's the irony. They didn't fire me to be cruel. They thought they were being efficient. Which, honestly, makes what happened next so much worse. You ever watch someone try to build a house with IKEA instructions in a language they can't read? That's what replacing me looked like. They brought in 3 interns, Sam, Priya, and Logan. Nice kids. Smart, eager. But the kind of smart that thinks a Google search is the same as experience. I wasn't mad at them. They were thrown into the deep end without a map, let alone a life vest. Sam spent half his time buried in email chains he didn't understand. Priya was sharp but overassigned. She was given 5 projects I used to juggle over quarters. And Logan, let's just say if ChatGPT ever crashed, the entire company would have lost its North Star. But here's the part no one talks about. When you rip out a pillar, the building doesn't collapse right away. It leans, slowly, quietly, until it snaps. First, a major vendor contract expired. It had to be manually renewed every quarter, a process I never documented, just handled. Cost the company $60,000 in late penalties. Then a logistics partner rerouted a shipment. Wrong region, wrong client. That was another $250,000 mistake. And they had no idea how it happened. People started whispering. Projects stalled. Claire? Nowhere to be seen. She was working remotely, which in corporate speak usually means panicking behind the scenes. And then, just after midnight on a Thursday, my phone lit up. Claire. I didn't answer. But the next call came from someone much higher up. Why do they only call you when things are burning? That second call? It wasn't Claire. It was Greg, the CEO. His voice was calm. Too calm. Like someone trying to convince you a plane isn't crashing while strapping on a parachute. "David, hey, got a minute?" A minute? I had 18 years worth of minutes that no one cared about, until now. He tried to play it casual. Said they were just looking for a little support, maybe a short-term consulting gig. "Nothing too involved," he said. "Just help smooth things out." Smooth what out, Greg? I let the silence drag long enough for him to start filling it. That's a trick you learn after 2 decades in operations. If you don't say anything, people tell you everything. Turns out clients were walking. Not angry, just gone. Vendors were skipping calls. Internal tools were glitching. Staff were threatening to leave. The interns had already burned out. And Claire? Claire's moving into more of a strategic role, Greg said. Translation: she's being quietly sidelined. They didn't just want my help. They needed a lifeline, a steady hand, a fixer. Could have said no. But here's the thing. I wasn't going back for them. I was going back for me on my terms. I told Greg, I'll take a look, but I'm not coming in as your employee. He agreed. Desperation's a great negotiator. The next morning, I walked back through those glass doors. And what I saw inside, that's when it hit me. The collapse hadn't even started yet. You ever walk back into a place that let you go and realize they never actually replaced you? I stepped into my old office. It was unrecognizable. Sticky notes lined the monitors like confetti. Passwords written on scraps of paper. A chair with one busted wheel. 3 interns worth of chaos, crammed into one sacred space. But that wasn't the real problem. The real problem? No one had touched the back-end systems I built. Not because they were afraid, but because they had no idea how they worked. Why? Because I never documented them. Not out of spite. Out of speed. I was always too busy holding the roof up to write down how the beams were built. I had designed automations that saved 20 hours a week in approvals alone. Vendor logic trees. Fail-safes for order rerouting. And not a single line of it was visible on paper. They didn't even know what they lost. So I rebuilt just enough to stop the bleeding. Restarted key systems. Fixed 3 cascading order failures. Revived the finance dashboard, which had been showing the wrong margins for 2 weeks straight. Greg was thrilled. I think we should talk about bringing you back full-time, he said. I smiled. I think we should talk about my rate instead. I named a number 3 times what I used to make.
Plus autonomie.
Plus the ability to choose who I reported to. He didn't even blink. But as I was walking out of that meeting, Claire was walking in. And the look on her face? That told me this wasn't over. You ever see someone try to spin a lie while standing in front of the guy who built the truth? Claire walked into that boardroom like she still owned the narrative. Blazer sharp, lips tight, eyes cold. She didn't look at me. Didn't have to. Her target wasn't me, it was the board. She started laying it out. Claimed the collapse wasn't her fault. Said I'd sabotaged processes before leaving. That I'd made myself irreplaceable on purpose. Funny how quickly redundant turns into too essential to be trusted. Isn't it? What she didn't know was that I'd already anticipated this move. I'd backed up every system I fixed. Screen recorded the issues. Logged timestamps. Saved old Slack threads. And yeah, I had emails. Plenty of them. Including the one where she called me a sunk cost with a fading return. I sent the entire package to the board before she finished her pitch. No drama. No outburst. Just the quiet weight of evidence. 2 weeks later, Claire was transitioned out of the company. No public memo. Just gone. Greg offered me a permanent executive role. I declined. Instead, I took 2 of the interns, the ones who actually tried, and started my own consulting firm. Within 6 months, we were working with 3 of their direct competitors. You see, I gave them 18 years of loyalty. They gave me 3 interns. I gave them 1 lesson. Experience doesn't scale. So if they call again, they'll have to book an appointment.